It's the Jim and Terry Show, coming to you bright-eyed and bushy-tailed from the Halloween dungeon chamber.
The Halloween dungeon chamber.
The Hobbit hole. Yes, we didn't talk about this, but I wanted to just throw this one by you. Justin Trudeau was called out because his son, I think his name is Hadrian, if I'm not mistaken, went as a headless ghoul.
Oh, come on, people have been doing the headless thing way before there was any reason to be upset about it. You know, really. I mean, it was a good costume as far as I can see.
But that links into where we're going. It was a good costume because it was headless, and it's very creative and hard to do. When you put your head, you got to do the fake arm, and it goes around your neck.
Head, yeah.
You're holding your hand. Meanwhile, you build up the shoulders so the neck is up above you. Yeah. It's a very creative way of doing it. But was it tasteless?
No, not any.
Okay, so the context is, of course, Gaza.
Yeah,
and
Gaza.
Hamas.
I mean, there's because people lost their head in the whole Gaza attack. Not the Gaza attack, the Hamas attack on Israel. They literally decapitated people and babies, and they wanted to have the biggest bang for the buck.
Shock.
Trudeau's
and
kid
awe.
is just, we see, even on America's Got Talent, we see people headless, holding their head and everything. It's just a costume, just something to be funny. And the kid looked like he was smiling and having a good time. The kid, and I think my response to you was, the kid doesn't
Let kids be kids.
They're going to grow up to find there's a lot of depressing things in life. So don't be on their back about what costume they picked in that sense. No, if you're a man, I wouldn't even be upset if you were a man on that one. Maybe dressing up as a Nazi might have a problem, or blackface would have a problem. But this is just a headless person. We've had that since day one in Halloween, so I don't get it.
Dressing up as a Nazi would be, to me, totally inappropriate, and I don't know in what world that would make sense.
Well, the Prince Harry or one of them did it.
And I think he got called out for that, and rightly
Trudeau
so.
got called out for blackface.
Yep, and rightly so, although to give Trudeau a bit of a break on that one, it was from a time and a place where that was still not a big issue.
Yeah.
But it is now, and that's the way it goes.
So you don't do it now.
You don't do it now, and that's the way life should be. We thought this was okay then. We now know something different, and we change in response to what we now know. All right, we're getting to the thorny issue. The headlessness was because of the beheading by Hamas of, was it 1,300? Not all of them were beheaded, but tortured, maimed, mutilated, put in ovens, lit on fire, burned, maybe even burned alive, body parts removed, amputations, and all kinds of horrific. So that's just a quick verbal rundown. I'm glad you didn't have to see it.
Yeah, and the solution isn't you just stop, everybody else stop going after Hamas. And I think that's the thorny issue, really. Israel, I think I told you in the beginning, Hamas, my opinion, did this to draw Israel and draw all the world against Israel. And if this prolongs, it's going to happen because Hamas hides amongst the civilians. It's Hamas's fault that refugee camp got bombed because they were hiding there. And Israel's got to get them. So I am pro-Israel that way. I don't want anybody to die. I wish I could just say to the people in the northern Gaza, I don't care if you got to live in the street. Get out of there. Let them blow the thing to smithereens and then go back. You can't stay there.
I don't know of any, our show is called Have You Heard? So here with our cup of coffee, two guys chin-wagging in the morning,
expert, that's for sure.
We're just going by what we have heard. Yeah. And I heard this comparison. Putin blows unannounced civilian targets. Just surprise attacks, apartment buildings, hospitals, no warning, nothing, just goes after infrastructure and people. And here is Israel, who announced and sent flyers. They've been sending flyers for 3 weeks saying, get out of the north. 3 weeks.
Yeah,
Do you think Hamas has any obligation to make sure the people get out?
Well, and let this be an educational thing for the people of Gaza, the Palestinians, I guess. Do not, once this is over, do not let Hamas reform. Do not let them, don't store their weaponry in your country because you're a target. That would be the same if Canada had a bunch of missiles ready for New York and we were storing them at City Hall, the United States would blow City Hall to smithereens, and they're not going to give us time to get those missiles out of there. They're not going to give us time to run away. So it's up to the civilians to, number one, in the very beginning, do not support them, do not elect them to be an authority. And on the other hand, once this is done, get out of the way the best you can. If you can't, I'm really sorry. I mean, but Israel can't not go after their enemy because they're hiding in a hospital. They have to go after them. So all they can say is get everybody out of there because we're going to blow the place to smithereens. Because they're not just going for the Hamas. They're going for their infrastructure, their bombs, their tunnels and all that. And there is a solution to the tunnels, and it takes that great big bomb that Donald Trump had bombed on Afghanistan hill country. It takes one of them to drop, and it's the concussion's so great it collapses all the tunnels. Unfortunately, there's 200 plus people who are hostages by these this evil terrorist organization. And yeah, a lot of people are going to die, but never let it be said it's Israel's fault. Maybe not even the Palestinians' fault. It's Hamas. They did this to draw the world in. They knew they were going to kill Palestinian people. They knew that was going to happen. And not only did they know it, Hamas wants it.
Yes.
So stop blaming Israel. Hamas is getting exactly what they wanted. And as one official said, in Gaza, Hamas didn't operate in a vacuum. The people of Gaza know what's going on, knows their ambition is to annihilate Israel. Wipe them off the face of the earth.
Hence the
So what are they going to do?
river
They're
to
going to
the
have
sea.
to wipe you off the face of the earth. That's the only solution.
Do you think the Palestinians understand this context?
No, not at all. Don't even
not
hear
at
it.
all. Because that's not what they would be indoctrinated on. Is that your phone keeping
Yes.
on going
And then
on?
you got a bunch of blind people here who start defending. Like we got students walking out of school, and I like what one guy said, and he's a lefty. He said, "Yeah, I wouldn't mind that so much if they decided to protest on Saturday when they got something to give up, like their own spare time.
Yes.
But don't go walking out of school to do this." Number two is what? To stop the war in Gaza. Well, are you really protesting so Hamas is going to hear you? No, you're not. You're going after Israel, is what you're going after, and you've been conned into walking off the job in order to protest something that you really don't have a solution
Okay,
for.
so you just to summarize where you're going with this, you're talking about on academic campuses, groups that are normally affiliated with left-leaning ideas.
I don't
like
even know if they're left.
Black Lives Matter, anti-apartheid would have been the groups, feminists, even some, this is a bizarre thing, LGBTQ communities joining rallies pro-Palestinian, which is odd because if you were LGBTQ, you'd be rounded up and killed the
You'd
way
be
you
killed,
are in
and
Iran.
in Israel, you're free to practice whatever sex
That's right.
you
So
want to
there's
practice.
some sense of irony when you start to look at the details of who's actually doing the protesting. And as we said 2 weeks ago, it's a bad look on October 7th when cars and trucks are flying Palestinian flags and shouting Allahu Akbar to the destruction of 1,300 Jews by Hamas.
Yeah,
And you're out in the
innocent
streets
Jews,
of North
just
America,
partying.
Toronto, Europe, UK, London, Paris. You're out in the streets protesting or celebrating, rather.
Celebrating,
So
yeah.
there's something wrong there. So strange brotherhood of protesters when you've got fringe groups on the left who are also
Well,
joining the
you've
pro-Palestinian.
You've made a great point. Now that there's crap happening to the Palestinians because of Hamas, it's an abomination. It's the Israelis are bloodthirsty, blah blah. Yet, if you recall, when the planes crashed into the Twin Towers, Palestine erupted in celebration.
Yes.
In celebration of those innocent people just conducting business being annihilated by terrorists. They celebrated in the streets, yet they cannot understand, even for a minute, why Israel would go in there after Hamas.
Right.
It is hypocrisy at the highest level. And you people who are intelligent on the radio and on TV, who haven't got a good word to say about Israel through all of this, and you're all the poor Palestinian people, again, grow up, will you? Get out of this frame mind and try to understand this is an evil, evil world, and you got an evil organization that caused this. They're called Hamas. You got to rid them of their power, just like you got to get Putin out of there. You got to rid them of their power, and that's when you're going to have peace, when you're not preparing to annihilate your neighbor.
So the war could end the moment Hamas declared peace. The moment Hamas declared peace.
Yeah. We are no longer. We recognize Israel. Blah blah blah. You might even have a two-state thing being able to happen. But as long as that state that wants to be one of their independent states' whole purpose is to make sure you die, how can there be talks and peace? Israel's right to be protective.
I'm really intrigued by stuff I've been seeing on Twitter lately, which is academics, Muslim academics, maybe there are even Palestinian academics in the United States, posting anti-Semitic stuff on their social media accounts. And these are academics, doctors, engineers, professors, lawyers even, posting anti-Semitic stuff with all kinds of graphic images on their social media. And they're in the U.S. in institutions that are supposed to be academic.
No. There's agendas to everybody.
There's
Mankind is an evil creature. And,
there's something in the heart.
In the heart, and it's pure hate. And you're not going to have peace. They're not going to have peace until Israel is completely collapsed and in the sea. That's what they want, to be pushed into the sea. And they would celebrate the suffering, drowning little children, drowning in the sea to death. They would celebrate that and dance in the streets. I'm sorry when there's people killing your people now.
But woe is us when the...
And I feel bad for that, by the way. I wish there was peace. But, all I can say is that once, come Lord Jesus, come.
Peace and justice, are they incompatible?
Well,
you can only have justice if there is peace, or you can only have peace if there is justice. And is justice retribution?
Hey, not only that, Israel might have had a knee-jerk reaction here, just like the states did when it came to
9/11.
Iraq. So, what can I tell you? We're mankind. This is what happens.
Mankind, the heart of man, is inclined towards
evil all the time.
All right, bye-bye for now. Jim and Terry Show, signing off.
Bye-bye.